It was an ordinary morning in April 2007. The popular breakfast show Wake Up Live had just begun its usual light-hearted segment. Viewers at home were sipping coffee, expecting nothing more than some celebrity gossip, weather updates, and maybe a feel-good human interest story. But that morning, live television would broadcast one of the most disturbing and unexplained events ever caught on camera. The guest was Emily Carter, a 16-year-old student from St. Andrews High School. Emily had been invited to speak about her school's charity fundraiser, just a routine interview meant to inspire people at home. Nothing in her background raised suspicion. She was described by teachers as bright, kind, and soft-spoken. Yet, as she took her seat under the studio lights, something about Emily was immediately. OFF.the hosts greeted her warmly. But when the camera focused in, Emily didn't smile. Her gaze was blank, unfocused, almost as if she weren't truly present. Viewers noticed her lips moving rapidly, whispering words that were too faint for the microphones to catch. Then came the moment nobody was prepared for. Mid-sentence, Emily froze. The live feed glitched. Audio crackled. On screen, you could see the teenager straighten unnaturally, hands gripping the chair arms so tightly her knuckles turned white. And then, the voice. It wasn't the voice of a teenage girl anymore. Deep, raspy, overlapping as if several people were speaking at once, it sent chills through every person watching. "You shouldn't have brought me here," the voice growled. Sarah, the lead host, stopped mid-question, glancing toward her co-host in disbelief. Studio crew froze. Even the camera operator kept rolling, too shocked to look away. Before anyone could react, Emily lurched to her feet. In one sudden burst of impossible strength, she shoved a crew member who'd rushed toward her, hurling him across the stage as if he weighed nothing at all. The cameras kept rolling. Her face was blank, eyes glassy, staring directly into the lens as though looking through it, and into everyone's living rooms at home. Every detail was caught on video. Even as the feed began to distort into waves of glitch and static, you could see the tension in her muscles, the strange way her mouth kept moving though no sound emerged. And then, silence, for a full 10 seconds. The only thing audible was the hum of studio equipment and the faint breath of someone sobbing off screen. Emily remained perfectly still, hands trembling, gaze fixed on something unseen. Viewers across the country sat in stunned disbelief. Some thought it was a hoax, maybe some bizarre publicity stunt. Others sensed they'd witnessed something real, something terrifying. Before the broadcast abruptly cut to commercial, one last moment was captured. Emily, eyes hollow, tilted her head ever so slightly toward the camera. Her lips moved once more, whispering words that only the most careful listeners could discern later when analyzing the footage. A phrase that sounded like, "They will never find you." And then the screen went black. Within minutes, phone lines at the television station lit up. Confused and scared viewers wanted answers. What had just happened? Was this scripted? Were they in on it? But the station offered only vague explanations, blaming a technical issue and announcing that Emily had fainted. Yet, those who were present in the studio that day say that was far from the truth. Crew members later described the scene as absolute chaos. 5 adults struggled just to restrain this one teenage girl. Some reported hearing her speak in a voice that chilled them to the bone, words they could never repeat aloud. And once she finally collapsed, Emily had no recollection of the broadcast at all. According to the show's producer, she kept asking why everyone was looking at her so strangely. That eerie morning would forever leave its mark, not just on those in the studio, but on anyone who witnessed the broadcast. And that was only the beginning. What happened after the cameras stopped rolling is even more disturbing. Stories of strange phenomena around Emily began to surface. Whispers of an invisible presence lurking in her home, and a secret that might explain why something took hold of her that day. But those are stories for another time. In the minutes after the live feed cut to black, panic gripped the television station. Studio crew rushed toward Emily Carter, who had collapsed into her chair, her body trembling as though she'd just run a marathon. Security was called in. Paramedics followed, and everyone present had the same questions racing through their minds. What had they just witnessed? According to several eyewitness accounts, Emily was nearly impossible to contain at first. Even though she was unconscious, her body thrashed with a strange, frantic energy. 5 grown adults struggled to hold her down until she finally stopped moving, her breathing shallow, eyes closed as if asleep. When Emily eventually woke up backstage, it was as if nothing had happened at all. She appeared dazed, confused, and frightened, just a scared teenager asking what had gone wrong. There was no trace of the chilling voice that had spoken through her moments before, nor any memory of the live broadcast. But the most disturbing part was what happened next. As the crew began to review the raw footage, the uncut version of what went live, they noticed details that nobody had seen at first. In the high-definition feed, Emily's face wasn't just blank. It was shifting. Frame by frame, subtle distortions played across her features. Her eyes darkened unnaturally. Her mouth stretched too wide in one frame, then appeared to twist into a grin that lasted less than a fraction of a second, too quick for the naked eye to catch in real time. And then there was the voice. Professional sound engineers spent hours isolating the audio track. Beneath Emily's overlapping speech, they detected another, deeper layer, a voice that seemed to echo as if from a long tunnel. Some words weren't in English at all. Most chilling of all was a strange high-pitched sound that played just before the broadcast cut off, almost like distant screaming or the scrape of metal on stone. The station's managers decided they couldn't air this footage again. They planned to erase the raw tapes and quietly move on. But someone inside leaked a clip online before they could. That clip, grainy, shortened, but still terrifying, spread across internet forums and video sharing sites within hours. Paranormal communities dissected every second. Viewers around the world paused and zoomed into the frames, reporting strange phenomena of their own. Some swore they could see a shadowy figure standing behind Emily as she spoke, a shape that appeared for only a blink before disappearing into the background. Others said they heard distant, whispering voices whenever they listened to the clip with headphones. And the most disturbing detail, more than one person claimed they felt an unexplained coldness in the room while watching, as if whatever had followed Emily onto that set was reaching into their world as well. Meanwhile, Emily's family pulled her from public view entirely. Rumors swirled that they moved out of their home within a week of the broadcast. Neighbors told stories of eerie noises in the house at all hours, of lights flickering for no reason. Some even reported seeing strange, fleeting shapes at the windows late at night, shapes they couldn't quite describe but that filled them with a deep sense of dread. Emily was never the same after that morning. A former teacher who wished to remain anonymous later spoke to investigators sharing that Emily had always been a quiet, gentle soul, until about a year before the broadcast, something changed. She became withdrawn, frequently sick, prone to strange sleepwalking episodes where she'd murmur in a language no one recognized. And then the television incident happened. Though nobody could say exactly what possessed her that day, one thing was certain. Whatever it wasn't gone just because the cameras had stopped rolling. That was just the beginning of a deeper, darker story. And as strange as the live broadcast and its aftermath were, the most chilling events took place in the days and nights that followed, events that left behind only fragments of video, eyewitness accounts, and one final, terrible disappearance. That is what happened after. And it's a story even fewer dare to speak aloud. After the broadcast and the chaos that followed, Emily Carter disappeared from public view entirely. Her parents pulled her out of school. They moved houses overnight, leaving behind friends, neighbors, and all questions unanswered. And though the television station tried to bury the incident, it was far from over. In the weeks that followed, strange reports began to surface. Former neighbors spoke in hushed tones about hearing heavy footsteps inside the Carter home after they had already left. One teenager who dared to peer through the windows swore they saw a face looking back at them, blank and unmoving, long after the house was supposed to be empty. That face looked like Emily's. And the unsettling stories didn't stop there. People who had seen the leaked clip online described odd phenomena occurring around them afterwards. Lights flickered for no reason. Phones played unexplained noise in the middle of the night. Even those who had watched the broadcast just once began to feel a creeping sense of unease, as if they were never truly alone. Meanwhile, investigators and independent journalists dug deeper into Emily's past. They uncovered school records, testimony from former classmates and teachers, and troubling accounts from Emily's childhood friends. Some recalled her talking about a shadow that followed her home after school. Others remembered seeing her freeze up mid-conversation, her eyes going glassy before she snapped back to reality as if nothing happened. Then came one especially eerie discovery, an old photograph taken outside the Carter home a year before the broadcast. There, in the background, was a faint, blurred figure near a window on the top floor. Even after all these years, nobody could explain who or what it was. And then, 6 months after that fateful morning show appearance, Emily vanished entirely. Her parents told police that they found her bedroom empty one morning, the window slightly open and a trail of faint, muddy footprints leading into the nearby forest. Search parties scoured the area for days, but she was never found. Her parents eventually moved away for good, never speaking to reporters. Rumors persisted that they left not just to escape painful memories, but because they were too terrified to stay. And there were other strange signs as well. In one final piece of surveillance footage, captured on a security camera outside the Carter house, a lone figure can be seen just past midnight. The grainy image is difficult to make out. All that's visible is someone standing utterly still at the forest's edge. That figure never moves toward the house, never acknowledges the camera. It simply watches, and then, as if sensing the lens trained on them, it looks up. That face is pale and blank, almost featureless, and yet somehow unmistakable as Emily. A moment later, the feed glitches. The image distorts, and then the figure is gone. To this day, nobody knows where Emily Carter went or what took her. Her story is now whispered about on internet forums, and passed along in hushed conversations, each retelling more unsettling than the last. And what happened on that live television broadcast? That moment was only the surface. Some believe whatever had followed Emily had been with her long before the cameras ever turned on, and that it simply chose that moment to make itself known. Others think the broadcast was some kind of gateway, an invitation, that by drawing attention to itself before millions of people, whatever was lurking inside Emily was spreading further into the world. And even though the footage was pulled and the tapes destroyed, the clip still circulates online, often cropping up without explanation, disappearing just as quickly. Those who have studied the story say that the more you look into it, the more it looks back at you. And tonight, if you happen to search for the clip or stumble across its eerie glow, listen carefully to the silence around you. You might hear it breathing, and you might feel it watching. After all, some stories don't end just because we stop telling them. And Emily Carter's story is one of them. A dark, lingering reminder that there are some places we were never meant to look, and some things that refuse to stay hidden in the dark.